I no longer, at least in my mind, needed to have one employer, one paycheck, one job. And now I'm kind of pursuing two companies and two career paths, at the same time.
Okay, thank you for joining us today. So excited to have Rich Swerbinsky. Thank you for being here and welcome to the jungle.
Katherine, thanks for having me. Excited for the conversation and looking forward to it.
Good. So much to talk about here. I'm so impressed with sort of the paths you've taken here recently. It's one thing in a challenging market to just, stick with what you're doing, continue to motivate people like I know you always have. I want you to sort of give us a background about what you've done, particularly in the last few years, but then historically too, how your world has changed. But you have a really interesting, what I call a side hustle. And Leopard Job is all about just making ends meet in a way that really makes you happy. And I feel like that's what you've done with something called, ironically, the cardboard jungle. So I love that we've got two jungles here going. So, tell us, give me some history on yourself here, Rich.
Yeah, lifetime mortgage industry guy, spent over 20 years running lending divisions for banks here in Ohio. Started out as a capital markets guy and, ended up running residential lending for a fairly large bank mortgage lending operation here in Cleveland. And then, the opportunity for a startup called the Mortgage Collaborative about 9 years ago came to me. It was a big risk at the time. I was with the community bank that, was originating, about $1.5 billion a year in mortgage. We built a nice engine. They'd never laid anybody off in over 100 years. I had the safest job in America, but yeah, decided to roll the dice with the Mortgage Collaborative 9 years ago. Spent 8 years in that role, at first as the only employee. For the first year, it was just me. The second year I had one person. The third year I had two people. Got it to profitability in about 3 years. And yeah, the Mortgage Collaborative just grew it. It still is a great national network of mortgage lending institutions and service providers, kind of centered around using the power of the network to help all the individual members thrive through exchange of best practices, partnerships with great vendors. So it was great. I loved it. It was an incredible job, an incredible 8 years. In April of this year, so April 1 of 2023, made the decision to, walk away from a job and a staff and a company I loved to start two businesses that had kind of been brewing in my head for years. I'd started to develop one of the two, slowly, one piece at a time. And so April 1, I left that role and started the Cardboard Jungle, which is a sports card company, and Onward and Upward Consulting, which is a business consulting company. So kind of, your theme of the workplace changing. I no longer, at least in my mind, needed to have one employer, one paycheck, one job. And now I'm kind of pursuing two companies and two career paths, at the same time. So,
and it keeps your mind. I love this, Rich. This is the perfect example of how I see the future of work. And so Leopard Job, I have a platform called the Work Platform, which is an acronym for wealth, opportunity, responsibility, and kindness. And all of us are grown adults. I don't care if you're 25 or 55, we are all grown adults. And the ideas that we have, that's why I call this Welcome to the Jungle podcast, because the ideas we have can be quite varying. Look at you going from mortgage to sports card trading. I just love it. So tell me when that fascination started. How long were you engaged in card trading? And what made you decide, I'm going to do this for money,
It was crazy. It was probably about 2.5 years ago. I'd always collected sports cards off and on my whole life. I had a very, very nice collection. And, it was the proverbial, my son is now a freshman at Ohio State. My longtime girlfriend's son is a freshman in high school. So like 18 and 15, they're both huge sports fans, 2.5 years ago. I'm talking about, I got this great collection buried in the basement. We dig it out. We're like, oh my God, holy crap. Like I forgot how much I had. Somebody in my family passed away, left me another great collection that I had not even really gone through. So the three of us just start digging through it like, oh my God, holy cow. I get the idea to throw just an ad in the paper of every little county newspaper, like within a 3-4 hour drive of me, we'll pay cash for sports cards, call or text Rich. End up, buying 30 or 40 collections off people in the next year for probably 10 to 15% on average of what the ultimate cards were worth. So I'm like, holy cow. Then I start to understand the eBay thing and the ComC, the two biggest platforms to sell sports cards. This starts out as, 2-3 hours a week, 5 hours a week. I'm working at the Mortgage Collaborative throughout it. So I'm doing this nights, weekends. It just, went from 2 hours a week to 5 hours a week to 10 hours a week to holy crap, we're now a very adept seller on eBay to holy crap, we're like one of the bigger sellers of sports cards on eBay. This is all kind of happening as I'm thinking, can this be either a full-time profession for me or part of a new world that you kind of espouse, right? Where I do this maybe in something else. And so then I get the idea of these live streams we do, which is an emerging segment of what I would argue is a very
This
emerging
is
industry,
the
sports card.
coolest piece to me, because on brings the technology, right? How is technology enabling and augmenting the effort? So explain that one, please. Yeah.
Yeah, it totally. So, we can only, there's a ceiling ultimately, of how many sports cards per month you can sell, and it's a low margin product. But these live streams, so like, I'll give you an example. So the general premise is like, in a couple days, 2023 Donruss football comes out, one of the new football card products for this coming year. It's about $250, $260 a box for like 24 packs. So like $10 a pack, a lot different than when we were kids. So as opposed to paying almost $300 for a box of Donruss football, you can pay $10 to get in a live break of a box of that product. So we sell 32 spots at $10 each. Hey, Katherine C. from Charlotte, you get, hey, the Carolina Panthers, your hometown team. So if we pull Bryce Young rookie cards out of there, maybe one that's autographed, they go to you and we ship them to you in the morning. So it's a cool way, an emerging way people are collecting. So it's kind of a bifurcated business model where we sell individual single sports cards online, and then we do live streams on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night, 10 to 12 a week. Where we're opening this new product. I get on, it's me and all these crazy teenagers called the Jungle Crew. I turned my basement into a fake indoor jungle. So
I'm going to show the picture of your basement when I edit this, because it's just too cool. I love it. I should have that as my background versus my living room right now. Everyone will know what season we did this in, but I love it.
I had never live streamed anything in my life. I have general technical knowledge, but so turned my basement into a studio, created this fake indoor jungle. And next thing you know, we have a live streaming platform and now a bifurcated business model where we're selling cards and we're selling, these entries into our live box breaks. So pretty cool. And it's a super scalable business. I'm biased. I think we do it better than the other people that do these live box breaks. So we're having good success when people try one of ours. They typically come back. So I view it as a really, really scalable business. And, again, something that's emerging.
Once you have an audience, sell them anything, sell them women's shoes. Are your wives bored over there while you're doing sports cars? We'll do meet my girlfriend over here. We'll do shoes too. It is a matter of that you had an opportunity that was sitting right under your nose, but you took action on it. And I think that is the sort of missing piece that particularly a younger generation might have, is they fantasize the billions and the millions that people are making being YouTube, famous or something. And they don't recognize that it does take time. There's no getting out of the time. But if you just start, my mom called me about maybe, I don't know, a year ago. I said, hey, Katherine, the old lady next door passed away and they're trying to get rid of her whole estate and they have a bunch of albums. And I remember you saying recently that you thought it'd be cool to have records again. People are doing that. So I said, oh, okay, well, you know what? I can't think right now exactly, this is long distance. She wasn't showing me album by album. I said, just tell him does he have any Elvis albums? I'll take all the Elvis albums he has. Well, he ends up having 26 Elvis albums. And he said, the thing is, I would have to talk to my brother or sister if you want all of them. I mean, I just don't know what to charge you for these. And I said, well, whatever's comfortable for you. This is a very small town, Louisiana, nicest man. And he says, I really feel like, ma'am, this is a fair charge for $10 an album. I feel like that's fair. And I said, I agree. I'm going to send you $260 right now. Well, I got all the albums in. I have a friend who's quite the connoisseur of that whole album deal. And they looked at them and said, do you realize most of these albums have never been played? They have never been played. And the original Blue Suede Shoes album that was in blue, remember how they used to make albums blue and the colors or whatever?
Mhm.
Um, was it by itself was worth $260. So the whole
Oh,
collection obviously was worth way more than what I paid for. I didn't even consider making a business out of that. Obviously, there's record businesses, but there are other, sports card trading businesses, and you found a unique way and utilizing technology. I don't think that it requires someone, you clearly are entrepreneurial minded, but I think that with the help of technology, like you said, you didn't have an expert background in technology. You had a couple of teenagers and a desire, and technology sort of augmented your opportunity to bring this live. What sort of challenge did you have, or thoughts did you have to yourself about how nervous were you to have to use the technology to make it work?
I was really nervous because I'd never really done anything like that before in terms of anything with live streaming video. There's a lot of different components to it, lighting, audio, other aesthetic little things that I really realized make a big difference. That it took me some months to figure it out. I mean, my biggest, the general business advice I've always adhered to: go fast and make mistakes.
Yes.
I really believe in that. And if you go back and watch our early live streams, it was a hot mess in April and May. Just the lighting, the sound, the delivery, but I was kind of making fun of myself as we went through it, just professing our love for those that supported the jungle early on and acknowledging, hey, we're learning on the fly with you here. Have patience with us. We're gonna deliver for you, that general message. And but that was how I operated. I was like, I would rather just get out there and start this and figure it on the fly, as opposed to over analyzing it and spending months and months and months analyzing something. Because my experience is you learn by doing. And you can spend months researching and analyzing something, and you're still going to have the same learning curve of doing whatever it is you're doing for the first time. So my whole business strategy was let's just like run through a brick wall into this thing. Let's make all the mistakes. Let's figure this out on the fly, and let's get good at it as soon as we can by just doing it.
I love, so in marketing, I've been a marketer for 25 years. We have a phrase called fail fast. And particularly for digital marketing, the goal is don't just spend, $20 on, Facebook ads or something, and incrementally see, an A/B test. Does this image work better than this image? Well, next month we'll run the second image. Like, it's fail fast, spend $1,000 on it in 4 days and figure out right now with, when you have that sort of a broad audience, that you can use the data very quickly to figure out how to move forward and start making money much faster. And so that is exactly, the approach. It's just to get started. So, I think that anytime we can take, a really just a laggard, an industry like mortgage, start to look at, the capabilities to bring that forward exponentially, right? Something like AI coming along and really, really changing jobs, and dive in while there are no AI mortgage experts, right? There are none, because we just started this. We don't even know what this looks like yet, exactly where it can go, but we know that there are capabilities beyond what we have implemented in the industry. Same thing with your card business, right? That you're saying, here's a dated industry like physical cards, and yet I'm going to use technology to engage people, start to create promoters, people that really want to talk about this and promote for me. All of it comes down to what you just said, Rich, which is servicing and caring about your audience. When you put your audience first and you say, look, I love you guys. I'm just so glad you're here. I'm sorry we keep glitching, but please don't leave us. This is cool. You're still going to get the cards. How did you handle, make it through that? Was it, funny? And how fast did your audience grow, or how sticky did they stay from all that?
It worked great. I mean, and I think I was lucky because, just through a lot of different things I've done in my career, LinkedIn was a huge, like when I was developing the business development strategy for the jungle, I'm assessing, specific strategic marketing things we're doing, like Google ads and other paid social and organic social things we're doing, and email marketing we're doing. I completely discounted LinkedIn. And, throughout my career, built a huge, following of connections and followers. And so got a lot of people from the mortgage industry to jump on these breaks. So between that and friends and family and other people that I had emails with to kind of get the business started, the business in the opening months was a lot of friends and family. It was people that knew me personally. So my general message of, I think we're onto something cool. We're going to screw some things up. And when we do, we're going to take care of you. But we're going to have a lot of fun through this, and just, kind of trust me. It was no different than when I started the Mortgage Collaborative. I started there 9 years ago. We had 4 members, right? So the message was in the early years, like, essentially, trust me. I don't have anything to sell yet. We have this idea of this network that could really become amazing. It's not there yet. So I need good people to, and this was different, but the same. I needed people to believe in the business early on to provide some revenue, to just provide a baseline to continue to grow the business. And we were lucky to. But I would say, to answer your question, I mean, people reacted. I'm a big believer in that. Just over communicating with people, being overly honest, self-deprecating humor, acknowledging, what you're not good at, what you might be good at, and just being real and honest with people. People hate to be sold and bullshitted. If people feel like they're dealing with people and companies that are genuine and are really honestly saying what they feel and are going to do what they say, people resonate to that.
That is because it's not about the live feed. That's the bonus, right? That's the fun. That's the collaboration. That's the, integration of people and emotions and all of those things. It's really about that they want the baseball card, right? They wouldn't be there just for the humor. Maybe you're, you are so funny or so great or whatever it is, you get an audience that would just want to watch. But for the most part, it's really about the card. So the entertainment is just a side note of that. I want to talk a little bit about the Mortgage Collaborative, because I think that is the perfect example of what you grew there, of where the evolution of work has really gone. And that when no one maybe was believing you at first that was a good idea, it's because we really have lived in a corporate world so long where, you didn't open the kimono, you acted like all was good, even if it wasn't good. If you weren't as forthcoming, let's say, you might not be withholding, truth, but you weren't as forthcoming about business, years ago. That was just, each business really had to figure it out on their own. And they hired, very expensive consultants and, tried to pull in some information, but data wasn't really widely used for decision making, maybe until a decade ago. So as you started to be able to get that, that data, 8 years ago, and you said, hey guys, why don't you get together, open the kimono, share how many files per, processor you think is fair, how are you generating leads? How is online business going? All of you executives get around the table, marketers get around the table, and be honest about how work is going. That was a whole pivotal point in work in general, would you say?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. There's no question. I mean, I think that the best way to get better at almost any business is by just executing and doing it, right? I mean, but to me, the second best way is to talk to other smart people that are good at it. You can read, you can listen to all the webinars you want, and absorb all the content that you want in different ways. But nothing just beats having a discussion with other strong minds of people that run businesses similar to yours. What are you doing? What's working? What's not? Hey, I'm thinking about trying this. No, don't do that. Or, use them instead. I mean, that is valuable stuff. And it is hard. People's natural reaction in business is to be guarded. You're my competitor, what really, and we worked very, very hard to build a culture at the Mortgage Collaborative that was very different from that. To get together, we are stronger, and, don't think and operate that way. What really took things to the next level was the pandemic. As you remember, in the early months after the pandemic, it was 3 months of just sheer terror. Mortgage lenders thought the world was ending, their businesses were going down, and it was over. And so it really banded people together. Holy shit, we're all working from home now. How do we do this? How do we be productive at home? How do we stay connected at home? How do we prepare for these buyback requests that we're going to be getting from all these lenders with all this fear in the marketplace? after the April 2020. So there was so much fear that it just forced people together. Like, holy crap, our whole staff is home and they were in the office last Friday. Like, how do we deal with this? Or how do we deal with the potential business crushing ramifications of buybacks or selling loans that don't meet investor guidelines? So forced people together out of fear. And then people started to see, you know what? Hey, holy crap, this was incredibly valuable to me. Then it got really busy, right? And the whole climate changed in the summer of 2020. It became, holy crap, how do we deal with all this business? And I think people embraced the challenges and collaborating on those that came with that. So it was, to answer your question, it's tough to get people to open the kimono. When they do, you almost always find good results and people that have good experience with it.
Yeah, he who lets their guard down first wins, right? Because people go, "Oh, okay, if he can do it, I can do it." That really is the perfect parlay into what your other main gig now is, which is consulting for companies. And I know it's different perspective. You're a real expert of how to run an entire mortgage platform, wholesale. Very very specific and important knowledge. But Leopard Job, I go in and consult for companies to say, "Hey, look." In fact, I just released it yesterday, right? It's the end of the 40-hour work week. The idea of executives going and saying, I don't know how to measure my productivity with my employees anymore. They won't come back to work. I think we're okay with that, but I don't know how to really believe them that they're sitting at their desk at 8:30 in the morning. I just don't know how to do that. And that is an argument that nobody wins. No one wins that argument. I'm in my own home. Do you care if I'm sitting in my own chair in my own home at 8:30 in the morning? Or do you care that I have accomplished what it is you need me to accomplish this week? And so instead of an 8-hour day or a 40-hour week, because again of technology that we can measure most activity that's going on, certainly can measure deliverables, right? Have KPIs around it's real easy for some jobs, certainly around something like an underwriter for mortgage, right? How many files did you underwrite? How many loans did you approve? How many times did those files come back, right? Did they have compliance issues? Or, so you can not only say that there's a productivity level, but there's a score level on top of that productivity that then makes you worth a certain value to me that has nothing to do with time. Nothing to do with time. So I'm curious if those sorts of conversations, I know that's not your side of what you do, you're more, business and P&L, but is that coming up in some of the conversations you're having with your clients?
I mean, what's coming up in every conversation I have with my mortgage lending consult clients is the general future of their workforce. In general, I think lenders, it's the number one, that and software platforms and contracts, it's the top two things that lenders are assessing right now. Give the slow period, the lenders that are in it to win it, right? They're hyper focused right now on creating the mousetrap of the future today, learning from some of the mistakes of the past, maybe bad software they bought or contracted with or want to get out of that isn't worth what they're paying, or maybe it is during good times, but not bad times, kind of taking a look at that. So lenders are, yes, trying to, I think they're coming to the realization more and more that, my staff doesn't have to be here in an office, and that there are a lot of fixed costs with brick and mortar that help make a business that is very tight on the margins tougher than it already is, especially in cycles like this. So we have to have a model where people can work from home, and we have to, at some level, understand what people are doing from home. Especially the depositories, they worry about that more in general, stereotyping a little bit than, independent mortgage banks. But for depositories right now, who are really well positioned in mortgage lending, and I would argue we're probably going to pick up market share these next couple of years. It's something they're really, really focused on right now. And as much as anything, I would argue.
Completely agree. It's, I say that we're not just in an evolution. I think that the mortgage industry is certainly in an evolution that was long time coming. It's being exacerbated by AI, and sort of the new capabilities that are, like I said, not only being built out, but wrapping up, being able to release some really amazing capabilities around tokenization and blockchain. And, you look at some of the companies like Figure who are changing the way we even invest in the product altogether, that these, really 12 to 24 months, we could look at a dramatic change through this evolution. But work, the way we all work, if you're an executive or an employee, or you're just out of college or whatever level you're in, is really in a revolution, that people are, saying, hey, I'm going to, walk my dog at lunch. Like, I said, rover.com. Let me just go do this little side hustle. So I could not be more impressed with the fact that you've taken all of your knowledge, you stayed in a really professional form, but you're having fun with what I'm calling, a side hustle, but it sounds like it's quite the business opportunity in and of itself. But the fact is that there's multiple income streams. And so that when we go through these evolutions, which are always inevitable, of financial ups and downs, you're not so scared to death for your job. People are saying and doing things they wouldn't even sometimes feel good about just to keep their job. And that's not sort of the highest level of potential for humanity, right? That's not what we're supposed to be doing, is fearing our jobs. We should be doing the things we enjoy. So the more we get into them and create multiple income streams, the more we take control of our own lives. We really start to think beyond, survival, and get into, enjoying life, which is what it's all about. I think you've just demonstrated the most incredible path to that. So I really commend you, Rich. It's awesome.
Well, thank you. And a lot of prophetic things in what you said. There are so many different ways to earn money right now by pursuing something, even if it's on the side, 5 hours a week or whatever you can give to it while you're doing something else you need to feed your family. It gives you control. It gives you no matter what it is you love, right? I love sports cards. Some people might love cats or cooking or wine or what have you, whatever it is you love and you're passionate about. If you're smart and creative and forward thinking, there's ways to make money in things you love. I just did it. It wasn't easy. You got to pick your spots right. You can't be stupid. You got to be realistic. But within that, so many different ways to make money, earn a living today, and as you put it, take a little bit more control of your professional future. So.
Love it. Well, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today, Rich. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. But here's what I want to wrap it up with, Rich, because we are both the jungle people here. I have something at Leopard Job that I call paw power. So do this with me. Let's put our fist up here and do paw power.
Paw power.
Paw power to you. I wish you the very best. All the paw power. Thanks for being part of what I call the Leopard Leap. A group of leopards is the leap, and you certainly have made the leap into just a phenomenal life of success and work. So continued success to you. And thanks for joining me.
Well, we're joined at the hip now. We both created jungle themed companies at almost the exact same time. So we have that bond for the rest of life. So
forever. I love it. I look forward to watching more of your success.
Same with you, Katherine. Always great to talk to you. And happy to be back on anytime you'll have me.
Thanks, Rich.
Take care.